Hello, North Central Washington, and welcome to Networked, a variety show where we bring you the latest news and insights on technology, innovation, entrepreneurship, and community building in North Central Washington. I'm your host, Jenny Rojanasatian, and I'm excited to introduce you to a dynamic female entrepreneur who's making a big impact in our region. Karly is the owner of Karma Design, a successful branding and web agency that has worked with clients across a wide range of industries. She's also the founder of 509 Female Founders, an intimate cohort learning experience dedicated to empowering and supporting women entrepreneurs in Eastern Washington. Karly's passion for entrepreneurship and community building has made her a force to be reckoned with in the region's business landscape with her innovative ideas and leadership. In this episode, we'll dive into her journey as an entrepreneur and learn more about both Karma Design and the company's innovative approach to marketing and branding, along with information about the vision and impact of 509 Female Founders, including the many programs and initiatives that the organization has launched to support women entrepreneurs in the region. As someone who is deeply passionate about entrepreneurship, as well as community building, I'm thrilled to have Karly on the show. Her insights and expertise will undoubtedly be valuable to anyone interested in these topics. Don't go too far. We'll be right back on air here on the NCW Life channel. And welcome to Networked, where I'm excited to introduce our guest, Karly Siroky. Say it right?
Yep.
Perfect. With a name like Rojanasatian, I understand the sensitivity of names you don't know how to say. So,
I'm glad I don't have to introduce you.
yes. Well, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
This is our first time really spending some time together, so really excited for me to learn more about what you do and to share that with the community. I'd love for you to kind of tell us a little bit about you before we dive into Karma Design and 509 Female Founders. Tell our audience about yourself.
Sure, yeah. So since we're here in Central Washington, I'll give a shout out to my alma mater, Eastmont High School.
Okay,
so
wonderful.
I'm a local girl, and when I was young, I was involved in lots of extracurricular activities, including going to Japan with the Misawa Sister City ambassadorship.
That must have been amazing.
Super fun. And since we're talking about entrepreneurialism, I have to give a shout out to my dad, Siroky, for being a huge inspiration. He was an entrepreneur and sold gliders, type of airplane you might have seen around here, and put my brother and me through school, and my mom helped raise us as well. And so I osmosed a lot of my business knowledge from him.
Yeah, you kind of grew up in that surrounding.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And I think so much of, we're not going to go into this, but entrepreneurship, it takes a lot of bravery, and it could be a helpful background if you saw someone else do it. It gives you a little bit more confidence
Definitely.
in that process.
Yeah, yes. I call him a lot.
Yeah. Well, fast forward to Karma. Why did you start your own company?
Yeah, so I went to college at Pacific Lutheran University, majored in graphic design, and was very passionate about environmentalism and all of the issues in the world that I wanted to do something about. And so I started working for companies that were doing awesome things, and some local ones that people might know, Bob's Smokin' Hardwood, Nigel Vintners, and Sage Hills Botanicals. Got to do some branding, web design, packaging for those companies. And basically, I started having so many clients that I was saying no to good work. So I thought, what if I said yes and found a way to make it work? Right. And so I started hiring team members, and that was really fun because I realized that I actually prefer that. I prefer to be the leader of a group. And so I rebranded from my sole proprietorship to Karma, and we are a branding and web agency for visionary companies committed to doing good.
Now, sometimes web design and graphic design do not play together. Like you've got people who do for amazing graphic talent.
Right.
They're creatives, but they don't do also kind of like the technology adoption website. So it's a little bit unique about what you offer, I imagine.
Yes, although if you're in the world of branding and you hire an agency like ours to go through the process of positioning your company and reframing your messaging, naturally you're going to want to extend that in the digital space.
Okay.
So to have a firm that can then just jump right into web is a plus.
So tell me a little bit about your team that you've been able to grow through Karma.
Yeah, so there's currently 6 of us, and that includes the roles of UX designer, developer, market research, project manager, and studio operations. And they're all over the country. There are actually fewer of us on the West Coast now than the East Coast. We kind of keep score back and forth.
I was going to ask, like, with remote work, are you headquartered, where's the headquarters for Karma?
For all intents and purposes, Seattle.
Okay.
Wherever I am, really.
Okay.
But the majority of our clients have been in Seattle and in the Bay Area, but really, I mean, a bunch of states throughout the country, and I'd love to go international too.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like a good pathway forward for next steps to go international. So all the team kind of is deployed to wherever they work from home?
Yeah, I met them all in totally random ways, and I'm reading a book about Shackleton, the explorer, and how he built his crew for the expeditions to Antarctica. And he basically would just, invite people into the room and would know within a few seconds whether that was the right person. And that's how I interview as well, is you just have a gut feeling if it's going to be a good fit.
If it's the right fit.
Yeah.
And then grow from there.
Yeah.
Well, tell me a little bit about how you're different than other companies that might be in this space.
Sure. So we take extra effort on the front and the back end of our projects. So not a lot of firms offer market research at all, and we consider it essential. If our client doesn't arrive with good strategy, we're going to kind of demand that they hire us to do it or hire someone to do it because we need data to work with. So whether that's stakeholder surveys, video interviews, or doing a competitive analysis, those are all things that we can do. Then we take that, build their brand, and at the end of it, we want to make sure that the team understands what they're receiving. And a lot of strategy just goes and sits on a shelf and gathers dust, and we hate that.
Yeah, that makes sense. The education piece then within the company that you just provided this work for.
Exactly.
As I don't know if I've ever seen that really incorporated.
It is unique, and we involve the team at the beginning by interviewing every staff we can get our hands on, and then we show them in the style guide at the end, look, this was your words that you shared with us, and here they are in the brand book, and they get really excited. We do a workshop, we gamify it, and then they actually know how to apply these aspects to their marketing materials.
I love that. I think that's super team culture building as well. I imagine for those organizations that they had a voice in the process, and then they can implement it. You mentioned earlier companies, I think, for good or something there. Who are the clients you're working with? I see a note here about B Corps. What does that look like?
Yeah, so we work with clients exclusively that place people and planet over profit. So our ideal clients include B corporations, members of 1% for the planet, and established nonprofits. So larger for-profit, also nonprofit companies. And B Corporation is a private certification that a for-profit company only can apply for by doing this rigorous assessment, and it proves that they're committed to social and environmental responsibility. And then they get the logo, little B with a circle that you've seen on things, kind of like the organic equivalent for business.
Yeah, you've seen those stamped in products in the stores, a little B with a circle around it. So they're for-profit, but have been graded for company culture and impact?
Everything.
Okay.
Yep.
Now, we're going to spend a lot going into the female founder side, but before we get there, what advice do you have if someone is looking for a branding or design agency, whether that's your company or just in general? What would you tell people to look for?
Totally. Yeah. So we definitely pride ourselves on being fun. And I know that sounds strange to mention first. Obviously, you want to find a firm that provides the service that you're looking for, and bonus if they have experience working for other clients in your sector. But really, it's the vibe. It's whether or not you're a good fit for each other. And a good fit for us is someone who enjoys our tech stack. So we use tools like Slack and Notion, Dropbox, et cetera, to make it really snappy and fast and collaborative. So the best clients are the ones who enjoy that environment as well.
That's I want to side note on that a little bit. Slack. Can you describe that a little bit for people who are maybe not techie and watching right now? What does that mean to be communicating with you on Slack?
Sure. Yeah. So Slack is a messaging platform where you can connect with companies to talk about what's going on with the project in threads, in direct messages, and in a superfluous amount of emojis. And GIFs. I don't know why, but Slack's kind of known for that. And there's something about the more curt nature of that medium that makes people more human when they're talking to each other. And so they can give you feedback in real time from a more honest place because you've encouraged that more lively communication style.
Well, and it's fast, like you said. Instead of saying, hey, we want to set up a meeting, review your thoughts, it's this messaging style to just keep a project going.
Exactly, and there are all sorts of integrations. So, hey, I linked this file, boom, there it is. And you don't have to go anywhere for it, you don't have to download it. So it's the speed of the future, you know?
So great advice. Find a firm who's fun, find who's a vibe, and that can work with you in a way that kind of meets your values. Because if you don't want to communicate, such as like a Slack, if you're going to be more traditional, maybe not the right mix.
We can make it happen, but I think you'll have more fun if you try it out.
I love that. Well, we're going to head to a brief commercial break, but when we come back, we're going to dive into 509 female founders and the really exciting work you're doing there. Don't go too far. And welcome back to Network TV, where we have been diving in with a local entrepreneur talking about her web agency, Karma. But now we're going to shift gears, Karly, and talk a little bit about, or a lot about, 509 female founders. Tell me, what is 509 female founders?
Yeah, well, I love this. You said 509, so clearly you're from the 509.
Yeah.
Just say 509.
No, that's a good differential. Yes, yes, how they say it.
You're local.
Yep.
So it is a mastermind for local women business owners, 9 months long, and it basically came from noticing that we have so many amazing women-owned businesses around, but we don't really talk to each other. And we also don't dive into hard business skills like business development, finance, operations, marketing. And I know from personal experience that it helps to understand those concepts. So I wanted to create a space to teach that.
Was this kind of a need that you saw as you're building Karma? That,
oh yeah.
Hey, I don't have other women that I can connect with, but they exist.
Okay. Definitely. I live in Leavenworth, and so I swear that town has a incredible per capita density of rad women founders. It's strange.
A lot of small business owners, and just in general, and Leavenworth, and across really Eastern Washington. So this is, you're calling it 509, but let's talk about kind of the service area of this work.
All of Eastern Washington, any woman identifying business, they're welcome to join.
And what's unique about this program compared to other entrepreneurial support services that might be out there?
Totally. So probably the most unique aspect is that it's so small. So it's capped at 12 members in the cohort. We have a larger community online, and we're hoping to do pop-up events, but those 12 people stick together for 9 months. And it's also a hybrid in-person virtual experience, whereas most masterminds and group learning experiences these days are all virtual.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the pandemic, remote work shifted things where you can be anywhere and working, but that disconnects people from that in-person connections.
It totally does, yeah.
Obviously you have a wide service area being all of Eastern Washington. So tell me a little bit about how you're mixing those founders together.
Yeah, so we invited people from everywhere. I mean, I found some through your website. I've lived in a lot of different parts of Eastern Washington, and then just walking around literally and, oh, who's that? I've never heard of that company. Look them up later, you know? So they found us on Instagram. Once the words kind of started getting out, then it was pretty easy to find people.
And is the cohort continuous, like a new cohort starting every month, or is it kind of one cohort, if you're not in it, the next one will be starting, September? What does that process look like?
So far, it is an annual. So
Okay.
it started, it'll go through October, and then the next one starts next year.
Okay.
Yeah.
So something to kind of look for in the future, if you're not in the program right now. And I'm sure get on the list early.
Yeah, we actually have probably 20 people who've said that they want to join next year already. So it is a good thing to budget for and invest in.
Yeah. What are some of the benefits the participants see in the program?
Yeah, so by investing in their continuing education, these founders get to connect with like-minded business owners. And that's really the biggest struggle, is that nobody really knows what it's like to run a business except for your partner, maybe, and other businesses. So in that way, they have the value of support, but also learning these skills enables these women to carve out more time for themselves because they've streamlined operations and increased cash flow, and that is just precious to these women.
Are the monthly focuses that you're doing brought in, are you bringing in other experts, or are you using the cohort to teach each other?
Yeah, so about a quarter of the education comes from me, the guide.
Okay.
And then a quarter comes from the members themselves supporting each other. A quarter comes from the audiobook that's assigned for that month. And then a quarter comes from experts. So outside guest speakers. They don't have to be from Eastern Washington, but they can be. They don't have to be women, but they often are. But we definitely want to bring in people who know more than all of us on certain topics.
Right, bring in the really content experts into each section. How are you working to ensure the program is inclusive and accessible to all female entrepreneurs?
Definitely. So the fact that we have very diverse disciplines, at least so far represented, is a sign that we're doing something right. I would definitely love to welcome more Indigenous people, Latin businesses, etc. And in terms of funding, we have a whole document outlining 8 strategies to, finance your membership, where we don't discount the program, but we show these women some steps that they could take to raise the capital, because, as you know, with the Flywheel Conference, it's actually an imperative lesson to learn, is that you do have to pay for things to run a business, and showing that you're serious about it by joining a program like this makes you feel serious about what you're doing. So it is actually kind of a mental loop, but there are a lot of creative ways that you can manifest the funds.
Yeah, so membership kind of based program, like you just illustrated. So this isn't like a free service. This is this is a business program with a membership cost for the participants in the cohort, but some opportunity for them to creatively resource those funds.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hearing. Okay. What impact do you hope 509 Female Founders is going to have? Like, what's your dream for the company?
Yeah, so I'm definitely excited to see this just be part of a rising tide that lifts all boats. I think that there is a wave cresting for female founders and women in general. We just celebrated International Women's Day, and Equal Pay Day is coming up. And I've just been having and hearing a lot of conversations from my colleagues around, we need power, and in order for that to happen, someone else has to seed it, which sounds sad. But if you think about what our communities can gain from all people having equal access to opportunity, I think people will find that they like those communities even more.
I love the concept about rising tides and kind of lifting as a whole. What is the dream for female founders as far as eventual expansion? Do you want to keep just to an Eastern Washington, the 509? Is it something you want to start doing multiple cohorts year round? I mean, you're at the start of something really exciting. What does that vision look like?
Sure. If I had the support, absolutely, I would do it, and I could. I haven't just decided yet to allocate the funds in that direction, but this is the pilot program. So. But since people are so interested, I could definitely see that happening. And I do have colleagues I've talked to about it who don't live here, who are like, oh, dang, I wish I did. And so I've thought about offering a virtual program, and that would appeal to me as well, because I'm a nomad at heart, and I could see myself running it from Portugal, or wherever I am.
Going back to that international travel, who doesn't want to do international travel, right? Yes.
So it's really just meeting the needs of what the community is asking for, but it did seem clear that they were asking for something like this.
Who's the ideal candidate to go through the Female Founders Program?
Yeah, it seems that so far it's businesses that are somewhat established. You don't have to be, but you can be starting out. They do tend to have employees. You know, some examples are Aubrey Dickinson from Little Reds, a local favorite.
Yeah.
We have Talia Lauren from Trailhead Law. She's an attorney. Dr. Jum Funk, who's a naturopath. So companies that have their own physical location, and they're obviously generating enough revenue that they're setting aside funds for their own education as the founder.
So not necessarily a startup, like a concept, someone at home, but someone's already in the business and now is ready to go to maybe the next level? Okay. Where do people get connected with both Karma and 509 Female Founders?
Yes. So for Karma, our website is karmadesign.is. The Icelandic suffix, there's a story there.
Okay.
And then for 509, you can just Google 509 Female Founders or on Instagram at 509 Female Founders.
Okay. It's been so fun to have you on air and to
Thank
learn
you.
more about the work that you're doing. I love that you're an entrepreneur who has a heart for helping others through the process. And we'll have to come on next year to hear about pilot. Now the pilot is done, like what's the next launch?
You got it.
Awesome. Karly, thanks so much for being on air. And thank you to our audience for tuning in once again to Networked TV. We'll see you next week here on the NCW Life channel.